Everyone has that one video game that truly takes over your life. You're dreaming about it at night, you're daydreaming about it in class or even at work. Maybe even calling in sick just to keep playing. Maybe risking your job because all you need to do is do one more quest and you're already 30 minutes late to a meeting. I'm talking about those games that affects your health and your livelihood because all you want to do is play it. I'm not talking about soul-crushing games like Valorant or League of Legends. I'm talking about the games that you actually love. The kind that leave you devastated when you hit the final credits because you just can't believe it's over. That it was just that good. Are you thinking about a game yet? The last game that did that to me was the initial release of Skyrim in 2011.
I'm finally awake.
It was winter break for school, and I stayed up all night to the point where my Asian mother thought I got up early at 6 a.m. I got praised for that because it wasn't even the school day. Now, the latest game I could proudly say that did that to me was Baldur's Gate 3, the title that won Game of the Year in 2023. I think it's crazy to me that an RPG is still topping the Steam charts even now. It's in top 20, top 10. I've learned from talking to others and watching YouTube videos about Baldur's Gate 3 that every first playthrough and experience can be so wildly different due to the amount of choice, storylines, and progressions that are available. The replayability is virtually endless, or at least it feels that way. And I found out I really enjoy listening to others and them sharing what their experiences were.
Wait, it hasn't saved, right? Where's our last save at?
Who they romance, who they killed, what they decide to do with the Shadowlands, and that's why I wanted to share my own journey through Baldur's Gate 3, the game that ruined my life in the best way possible.
A gust of weave about you, but it's a mere breeze. I need a tempest.
Who am I? Your only chance of survival.
Now, to really explain why Baldur's Gate 3 hit so hard for me, let me take you through my RPG history. Some of the top RPGs that I've enjoyed are the Persona series. I'm currently playing through Persona 3 Reload, the original Mass Effect trilogy, not Andromeda, Fallout, Fable, and you've already heard about my experiences with Skyrim back in 2011. I mean, to be honest, I started a Skyrim playthrough literally in 2022. What all of these have in common is that the developers and story writers have carefully crafted a world, or at least a premise that I can realistically, or maybe with a touch of fantasy and magic, see myself in being. Outside of Persona, these games also allow me to make up a custom character and give them a backstory if I wanted to. The amount of times that I've made characters and replayed the beginning of Skyrim, Fable, and even Fallout is just too many to count. With Baldur's Gate 3, I only did the one playthrough, which is the one I'm focusing on this video about, but I created my character after literally 3 hours in the character creator screen. Funny enough, you'll see in the footage that I named him Tall Man. Literally, he's a tall man. Only because I didn't think I wanted to play with him. But I thought, nah, I'd spend way too long getting the character creation and I just couldn't wait to get into the world of Baldur's Gate 3. So my guy's name is Tall Man.
You know all there is to know about me. At least, all that matters.
What the fuck is... I guess in my mind, what makes a really good RPG and what makes things stand out and what gives you the Skyrims, the Fallouts, and even Fable 1s is the beginning premise. And the ability to be able to self-insert to some degree is a key part of what makes an RPG successful and absolutely capturing. Baldur's Gate 3 yanks me by the neck with its character creation, the backstory options that you're able to go through, the in-depth customization with the faces and the hair, and with just enough of an initial push in the beginning to hook you in. The world design of Faerun?
You will educate me on matters of this Faerun.
The world design of Faerun also feels alive and interacts very organically with you. You want to pick a bush? You can. You want to smack this rock? You can. You want to do something dumb like throw your stuff down the cliff? You absolutely can. Let's just throw a bunch of shit at. Here you go. Have a shirt. This really scratched the itch that Skyrim did with its world, and the feeling of the possibilities are literally endless. It doesn't matter if it's actually endless. I understand game design and choices and limitations that people have to put, but the fact that you feel like it's endless is a very key part of what makes an RPG fantastic. The feeling of weight within all your little choices with the paths that you take or the dialogue choices that you decide to do, they have tangible consequences that affect your story, your relationships, or future interactions with the world, or at least it feels like it does. I'll get more into about the characters and the story a bit, and also the amazing NPCs, but let's just say it's levels of good. On any RPGs or video games, I've lately always played on the hardest difficulty. I feel that most normal modes for me, I never feel any sort of threat or danger. Or maybe I'm just a sadist and enjoy getting my ass kicked. So I chucked Baldur's Gate 3 on Tactician with zero experience to anything to Baldur's Gate combat, not even XCOM with these random percentages that you see, and I know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. I played one campaign one time and we stopped after one session. And oh my god, did I get my ass kicked throughout my playthrough. You could say I experienced pain and suffering in a whole new, also in a beautiful way, which I loved. I feel like Tactician really challenged me and made me utilize all the available mechanics, class perks, and the Baldur's Gate 3 combat interaction that it has to offer to its absolute fullest. I can't help but feel that if I played on the normal difficulty or even the Explorer part, I never would have felt that I needed to take the high ground, throwing potions for it to break on the floor to give me fire resistance or health, or actually using Volo's fake eye after he stabs me. Now that I'm talking about it, I truly had to use the combat system to its fullest to survive in the hardest difficulty at release. I played as a fighter class because I wanted to be the great sword building big man that just whacks things. But I didn't want to be full barbarian though. I just wanted slightly more brain. I wanted to be the good guy who wanted to save everyone, but I also wanted to stay true to the spirit of the game and just not reload my saves. Unless I made a bad choice when risking up Shadowheart. I mean, fuck man. Shadowheart, I fell in love with her. Actually, I fell in love with Gale. Also fell in love with Halsin. I fell in love with Lae'zel for wanting to kill me or lick my sweat off the ground. Okay, it's a good time to talk about the characters and how I absolutely fell in love with them.
Free will and they call you a tyrant. Allow them to indulge it and they become tyrants.
I already touched on the topic that the world feels so alive and that it's living and breathing and it's very organic to its feel. But what makes this game truly stand out is its characters. Not only the ones in your camp, but also the various amounts of NPCs that you could literally strike up a conversation with any one of them. The people feel so lifelike. They all have their own goals. They all have their own means to live their life out in favor. Other games have tried to replicate this, such as Skyrim. While they do a good job, it doesn't compare to the polish that exists here. I mean, another place that felt like it was overpopulated, but at a closer look, it was a little bit empty and a little bit soulless, was Black Desert Online. The environment is beautiful, but there is a lot of NPCs that feel fake in their set pieces and their movements. Well, not in Baldur's Gate 3. It feels like they're actual people with real goals, real families, and real things that they need to do. There are very few games that you can get into the immersion and feel truly lost in the world. Nothing will bring you out faster than shallow characters or flat interactions. No matter how pretty the environment is, like I mentioned, you need those type of iconic characters with distinct personalities to keep you compelled to explore their stories or how they get about the world. Everyone's got a story in this game, a different stake in their adventure, and your choices affect how they look at you or act towards you. I could talk for hours about them, but I'm just going to cover a few of my absolute favorite moments that defined my journey as Tall Man. And yes, of course, there's going to be spoilers or head into the characterization, but if you've made it this far into the video, you probably don't care about spoilers, but just letting you know. In Act 2, when we free the Night Song, the whole arc of Act 2, the Shadowlands were so mysterious, but also haunting. To me, it felt like they had actually captured what would have happened if evil, gross, and decrepit beings had won. Tormented souls, dark, gritty environments, live, twisted vines. The Shadowlands were a visual representation of despair and all the interactions within it. I was able to lift the curse of the Shadowlands to the playthrough through freeing the Night Song as well. Shadowheart, I could feel the pain that she was under following Shar as we went through the gauntlets, and also when we started having dialogues about with her throughout the Shadowlands. I was able to support Best Girl and redeem her. I was ecstatic. Also, can I say that the introduction to Thorm at Moonrise, so absolutely badass. Unlucky, it turned out that he was just obsessed with his daughter, his wife, but hey, that's cool. He just wanted to resurrect them. I wanted to highlight the fight of Merkel, and it was one of the most cinematic experiences to a boss fight that I had. The voice acting's top notch. The whole appearance was so amazing. And even though I died so many times, I would still let that transformation of Merkel play out. It's just so sick. Astarion's companion story and going to the mansion. I've always been an Astarion fan, even more so that his voice actor, Neo Newborn, seemingly was born for this role, plus all his appearances playing D&D with a critical role as Astarion himself. Astarion's story is a tragic one. Vampire thrall that was under complete control under a master vampire, had his entire life taken away from him and lived for something else. Going through the story, finding out just how evil a master vampire is, not like in Skyrim where you just double fist flames and they're a bit of a pushover. This master vampire vampire had hundreds, thousands of thralls that were alive over decades, outliving their own families, some even children that we discover as we progress through the mansion. And the horror from Astarion when he found out that so many of them were from when he seduced or lured them over. The amounts of guilt you can feel from those scenes and from his eyes still stand out to me today. It also helps, like, the Cazador boss fight was really fun as well. It took many tries and many ways to figure things out, but I found out how broken upcasting the elementals are, and it was just fun. The feeling of raw emotion from him finally killing Cazador was so satisfying and brought tears to my eyes when I played. I legit showed my girlfriend how incredible this was. She didn't understand any of it, and like the supportive partner that she is, she watched it and was like, whoa, yeah, it's really cool. That just shows how much of an impact this storyline had on me. It was absolute cinema, and I wanted to share it right away. I wanted to go through the Emperor's storyline, and especially when it eventually leads to fighting Ansur, the guardian Baldur's Gate, the heart of Baldur's Gate. I didn't end up making out with the Emperor because my heart belonged to Shadowheart. He tried to riz me, but I said nah. Like, come on, it would have been funny, but I can't do that to best girl. I think the Emperor's storyline was an interesting one. He tries to humanize himself and really convince us that he was a human just like us, but turned mind flayer. Like, he lived a whole life, and he rightfully did. There are some discourses online saying that maybe he actually just influenced us and manipulated us so much that we're under his control. So I decided for my playthrough that I chose to believe him and just leaned into it a bit more. So I went ahead and explored the underground, and this is also a spin-off of Will's character, I guess, but he's lame ass, so this story belongs to the Emperor category for me. Going through the little trials was a fun time. I accidentally one time pissed off all the undead, but I went back and actually did it correctly. As soon as I opened the final door and went into this room, I knew it was going to be a boss fight. But what I didn't know was we're going to fight an undead dragon, one of the only dragons we face in this game outside of, obviously, the final battle. The dialogue between the Emperor and Ansur was really cool and was also menacing. I had thought in my mind that there would have been a way for us to get him on our team to fight the Elder Brain. I reloaded it and picked some other options just to see if I was able to do it. The differences and justification of the death in the fight was just too great, with Ansur being so self-righteous and him believing that killing the Emperor would put him out of his misery as a mind flayer, while the Emperor felt that this new form had enhanced him and he was in peak survival mode. So they fought. The fight with Ansur enough was so challenging. I had to respec some characters. I tried some limit testing and attempted to do turn manipulation, and I just had to think really outside the box in order to beat Ansur on tactician mode. I also had to search for dragon killing arrows. I tried everything. I went back up to the stores. I tried to find other ways how to cheese it. I also tried to figure out the range of his big shockwave. Some were successful than others, while other times were not so great. I had to utilize the entirety of the spell slots, summons, and general setup, and I loved it. Shadowheart's parents. This would maybe be a shorter one, but I just wanted to appreciate, and also I'm a Shadowheart simp. Wow. She's best girl here. The conclusion of Shadowheart's memories and finding out the truth of the darkness from Shar, the goddess that like she pledged herself to, which I had no idea why anyone would follow Shar. It just doesn't seem like a good time. And actually finally revealing that she was such a lovely person following Saloon. It made me hate Shar and the followers, but I guess that is what they do. After revealing the door, the genuine conversations and last word exchange were so touching, heartwarming, and human-like. They would have never seen their daughter again, but they never truly gave up hope that their daughter would find her own way back. I mean, like, seriously, how could you ever go any other way from her storyline? I can't imagine this. I know it's a choose your own adventure type of game, but knowing this is the conclusion that her parents are still alive, it will be so hard going through the Dark Justicar route when I do an evil playthrough. But it has to be done. Fighting Raphael was one of the hardest encounters in the game. It's completely 100% optional, so you already know that I had to go ahead and do it. It's one of the best boss fights that top even the endgame conclusion of Baldur's Gate 3. You go into the 9 Hells and to the House of Hope. Raphael has always been an interesting character in Baldur's Gate 3. Being a devil, he always talks about contracts that will benefit him while also seemingly giving the people who make these contracts what they're after. However, not usually the case. You can see from the House of Hope just how awful he has tricked and treated these patrons that are looking after Raphael's treasures. The most cruel that I found from Raphael was how terrible he is to Hope, a dwarf that has been driven mad by psychological torment and other unspeakable things. As everyone does, I yoinked all the good gear, saved Hope, and I entered the final room before we left. Of course, it's going to be a boss fight, on par of giving us hope that we would be able to walk out of this without a fight. It obviously didn't happen, and our hope was squandered, and we were met with despair. After some cool interactions, we hear this theme.
Hell, hell, hell has its laws. Hell, hell, effect and the cause.
I was absolutely hyped, but also terrified. And then I also realized that, yo, wait, Raphael is singing the song. This is so ridiculous, but so on brand for Raphael or even a devil to do this. It was an exhilarating fight where my decisions felt like everything had meaning and weight. It felt like all of my previous interactions and attitudes towards devils, like with Mizora and Karlach's past, felt like it was all let out in these moments. I got lucky during the fight and I was able to do hold monster a few times and critted him over and over again, but still one of the most exhilarating but also satisfying boss fights, from the atmosphere, the music, the build-up, and the antics of all the NPCs, that was honestly more memorable than the final acts of the game. Whenever somebody asks me what was my favorite encounter, it will always be and still be Raphael and fighting in the House of Hope. Let's talk about the epilogue. One of the best feelings I've ever felt when finishing a video game, period. It's so very important that the ending has to stick the landing. I mean, think about in the Mass Effect 3 trilogy, I mentioned that at the beginning of the video, you had to pick between green, blue, or red hues of light towards the end, and everyone was pretty upset about it. I killed Orpheus, but I also managed to convince Bazel and being allies with me still. I don't know. I just passed the crazy speech checks that were made. It did make sense to me.
Do not judge me.
I contemplated this as siding with the Emperor, but like maybe he's manipulating me. I had some second thoughts. Maybe the game had actually done this so I could have these second thoughts, and maybe he'll betray me. I don't know. I just contemplated this so hard, and I just legit asked my girlfriend once again for some consultation. She knows absolutely nothing about this game, and just the fact that I've been spending so much time on it. And I gave her as much context as I could, and she was like, what's a mind flayer? Oh yeah, you know, master manipulator that wants to realize the grand design and turn everyone into slaves. But hey, the Emperor said he built different though, and just wants her life. She went, yeah, why not? Just go ahead and side with him, see what happens. So I did. Now I'm still having doubts recording this video that was that ever the right decision to make? Who knows? And that's what's beautiful about this game. It always has this large weight to my decisions. As everyone who's finished the game, the fight was epic, and it felt like the ending I got was the one I was looking forward to. I made a mind flayer, bro. My people didn't end up dying tragically, and it just felt like an overall good conclusion. After it fades to black, I was truly impressed. Was the last part where we were able to talk to our companions after a bit of time for the reunion one last time, just to see how everyone ended up. I was with my girl, Shadowheart, and we were all a bit nervous to see everyone come back together thanks to Withers. Withers, the real homie. It was one of the best epilogues to tie together that I can think back to from any story that I've played. Being able to talk with your homies that went through this entire whole journey together, it felt like a proper goodbye. These people were my friends, and we had become closer throughout the adventures that we had. I mean, yes, you understand that in any real life scenario, or if you can put yourself in it, life-threatening boss fights, life-threatening decisions, the world absolutely ceasing to exist, you think it would bring us together. But you'd be surprised, some RPGs or some games or even some media doesn't really hit the same tune or that emotional string that this game does. I could finally close this game and be done with the playthrough of Tollman. Till I start my next playthrough, of course, to see all this again, make different decisions, and see what's happened. A video game that does that, especially in its epilogue, is reflective of the in-depth characterizations, the high-quality writing, and developers that were so passionate about this project to deliver an experience that was to be remembered for years to come. I mean, it won Game of the Year in 2023. It made developers and publishers say that it's ridiculous to expect a quality experience that Larian Studios delivered. What the fuck, man? That's wild, and what a legacy to leave for hopefully other developers to follow. Baldur's Gate 3 has risen to be my favorite game that I've ever played. You listened to my story, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Something that prompted this video again was that every first playthrough that I've heard about this game from all of my friends, from all my mates, was so unique and so different. Every person that I had gushed and talked about this game to had such a different outcome. They rizzed up a different person, they went a completely different route, and that is what I loved about this game. I saw the credits rolling, a huge sigh of satisfaction, shaking my head in disbelief that I had experienced something so...
Thou wilt trouble us no more.
Pretty gangster. Rich. Yeah, that's the word I would go with. Baldur's Gate 3 was an enriching experience, and I hope that you had similar feelings when Withers' narration in the background of all our friends gathered in the campfire, and then it eventually fading to black for the last time, including that character's story. What a rich experience. But hey, there's always a new playthrough, my Dark Urge character, and maybe clearing honor mode finally. You know what's funny is I even do this thing where I wait so long to replay or go back into a video game that I almost forget what happens so that it feels fresh. Anyone else do that? No? Just me? Okay, well, all right. Thanks for listening to my story. And if you're here wondering whether you should dive back into Baldur's Gate 3, take this video as a sign to start another adventure. You probably missed something anyway. Hey, how are you going? Hey, thanks for watching the YouTube video about Baldur's Gate 3. I just wanted an excuse to yap about my experience and stuff. A lot of the friends that I've talked to that have yet to finish the game, they do the classic thing where you start a new character, they spend 2 hours in character creation, they get to Act 3, and they want to start another character. So I just wanted to talk about my overall experiences, and thank you so much for listening to me ramble on about a masterpiece that I really enjoyed. I have a Patreon. It's completely free, but there's also paid tiers if you feel like giving me money. I don't know. I play a lot of video games and I like talking about them because I look way too deeply into these stories, and a lot of my friends don't do that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video all the way to the end, and shout out to you guys who made it to this part of the video specifically. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Bye now. Take care. I'll see you later, hopefully in the next video. Goodbye. Bye.